Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video, I am going to be explaining why presuppositionalism is stupid and showing you from the person that had posted a comment, for them, presuppositionalism is self-refuting. But I also consider belief in a God as to being stupid, and I'll get into why I say that. But before I get into that, the thumbnail of this is very fitting for this video. If any part of your reasoning for believing something is the Bible says so, calling you an idiot isn't an accusation, it's an observation. I would also point out it's not an ad hom attack, it's an observation. And that comes from this stupid shit. Now, I'm not opposed to people posting comments and so forth in my discussion section. That's kind of why it's there. And I have everything wide the hell open because I encourage open thought. I just don't have the patience and tolerance for trolls. And I seem to get an awful lot of them. This person may be one. I'm kind of up on the fence with that. But as you can, if you're going to post a comment on a video, post it on the video. If you want to post something in the discussion section, that's fine. But don't do like this, because as you can see, that would be very tedious to unpack, because it is quite lengthy. And there's no break in paragraph. There's no... Luckily, they have punctuation. So I have to give them kind of kudos for knowing when to put a period, exclamation point, question mark. Okay, fine. But there are problems with what they have here. A lot of problems. A lot of stupid to unpack. The thing is, one of the things, and I put it on a WordPad to make it easier to see, one of the things that I noticed real quick was this. That is a Hebrew term that means congratulations. Now, before I get into all of this shit, one thing I want to point out. I won't say as a definite, but there's a good chance of the atheists on YouTube that I am probably one of, if not the most Jewish friendly. Because I have done multiple interviews with Mark Powers, the former director of Jews for Judaism. I also consider him a friend, even though I haven't spoken to him in quite a while. The thing is, him and I have a very good relationship. Him and I have talked about the Jewish God and various things with Judaism and done multiple interviews. And for those of you that have seen those interviews and listened to them, I had asked him at one point, basically what's the purpose or what incentive is there for me to believe in the Jewish God? And he had said, point blank, none. And I had said to him about that, because my thought initially was one of the criteria for the Messiah was the whole world being Jewish, and he was like, why would they want that? If you're not Jewish, you're not bound to the 613 laws. So why the hell would you want to be Jewish? Basically, what's the point? What's in it for you type of thing? And I found that rather interesting. There was no threats, no condemnation, no bullshit from Mark. Unlike what I'm going to see from this person. Now, they say, as a former atheist myself, I do not believe that they were an atheist. Because this I copied from lower in their bullshit, because it fits and it's refuting their claim here that I don't believe. Because the atheistic position denying God's existence, if based on the empirical method, is absurd. What's absurd is that claim right there, that that's the atheistic position. If this person was a former atheist, they should know that. That shouldn't even come out from somebody that was an atheist, because they would know that's not the atheist position. I contend this was never someone that was an atheist, because they wouldn't have said something that stupid. That is coming from somebody that is a presuppositionalist, because they're presupposing the God, and to them, not believing them is akin to denying the existence of. The thing is, it's not. It's saying, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe your claims. That's what it is. I will touch on very briefly the aspect of, because I've heard it, and it is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. When someone is asked, do you believe in a God? And they say, I'm agnostic. That's not answering the question. You're dodging. You're not being asked, what do you know? You're being asked, what do you believe? If you do not believe in a God, knowledge or lack of knowledge aside, you're an atheist. Basically, don't be afraid to say it. We're not baby eaters. We're not Satanists. We just don't believe in magical woo-woo shit. Or I should say, in gods. There are some atheists that can believe in ghosts and the paranormal, which I would still find that to be kind of, what the fuck? But be that as it may. Then I have there first, and I numbered some of these because there's 5 questions that I'm going to be dealing with, and a whole lot of stupid. Some atheists think they've taken a heroic stand, but could it be that they really don't want to face up to the possibility that God is indeed there? The idea of God is indeed there, to me, is a so what. Because to someone like this, I would ask the question, first of all, you want to presuppose that God exists. All right, fine. What's going to happen to me for saying I don't believe it? What? Is it going to hurt me? Is it going to try to beat me up? Is it going to torture me? Because I don't believe it. This God thing is so insecure. The disbelief of an evolved primate threatens it. Doesn't seem very godly to me. The thing is, I don't think atheism is about being heroic. I think it's about being honest. Intellectually honest, as you will see that they have a little bit further down. Because it is being honest in saying, I don't believe these claims. These claims have no basis in fact. There's nothing to support any holy book's claims of a God. Because if you're going to go by a book claiming something, do you also believe in Pennywise? Because the book, it talks about Pennywise. And it says there's things in there that Pennywise said. Do you believe Pennywise actually said it? Or do you think Stephen King wrote it? I tend to go with Stephen King wrote it. The thing is, what also is behind this possibility that God exists, I know for a fact that there's a tyrant in North Korea that has access to nuclear weapons. It's not a possibility, it's a fucking fact. His name is Kim Jong-un. The thing is, just because I know he exists doesn't mean I'm going to go along with his fucking program. I'm not Dennis Rodman. The thing is, Just because someone exists doesn't mean you have to bow and scrape. The Jews during the Holocaust, they knew Hitler existed. I don't think they were worshiping him. I don't think they were bowing and scraping to him. People have known throughout history of tyrants existing. It doesn't mean you have to go along with their fucking program. This does raise the question, because I've heard some atheists say that they wish they could believe that a God exists. Why? If you could believe a God exists, would you bow and scrape? Does something just existing mean that you have to go along with the program? That you have to go along with everything it does? As her shirt says, fork it. There is no way. Just because something exists doesn't mean you have to stop fucking thinking. Or substitute your morals for, well, it exists, so we have to go along with it. Bullshit. But this next is, and you notice I have ironic. You'll see why. I hope you'll be intellectually honest enough to consider what I have to say and see if it makes sense. First of all, I had mentioned to them about flat earth people, and it's ironic that they have further down that they mention that. Because, and this is the problem with apologetics, just because something might make sense doesn't mean it's true. The flat earth people can spout their bullshit, and to some it may make sense. But to those of us with a fucking brain, it's batshit crazy. The thing is, to people before we understood that the earth revolved around the sun and so forth, the idea that the sun revolved around the earth and that the moon revolved around, that everything revolved around the earth, the planets revolved around the earth and so forth, that idea made sense. Even though it made sense, that didn't make it true. Just because something can make sense doesn't mean it's a truth. In order for something to be true, there must be evidence to support it being true. Not just somebody being able to spout rhetoric. But no one who has prejudged an issue can be convinced of anything contrary to what he wants to believe. Bear that in mind. You're going to see it again. Because I copied that and put it down with the word remember, and you'll see it. Because this is exactly what they're doing. To the letter. Which means, by virtue of their own admission, they are not being intellectually honest, and they are closed-minded. They are the very thing that they wanted to basically accuse me of being. It's a case of projection. It's something I see very frequently. There are still those who insist the earth is flat, no matter what, nothing can convince them otherwise, no matter what evidence, and that is true. And I would also contend, for presuppositionalists, the same is true. That, as they said, and it's their own words, and I'm going to hang them with their own words, anyone who has prejudged or presupposes an issue can't be convinced of anything contrary to what he believes or wants to believe. Yeah. The thing is, they claim here there are always folks, no matter if religious or atheistic, I doubt this, who stubbornly believe what they prefer, no matter if reason and fact show otherwise. I disagree with the aspect that atheists would do that. Because atheism is about disbelief. That if you want to convince an atheist of something, prove it. That's all you have to do. If you want to convince an atheist that a God exists, it's very simple. Prove it. That's all. Not just reason, but fact. Give us fact that a God exists. Someone like this has an unspoken philosophy, don't confuse me with the facts. Again, this is projection that my mind has already made up. That is projection. Ask yourself, am I open-minded or narrow-minded? I would go even so far as not even narrow-minded. They're closed-minded. This is not fitting me in the slightest, because evidence for me is everything. I am willing to change my am I willing to change my mind if I can be shown atheism doesn't make sense? It's not about atheism making sense or not, because it's disbelief in your claims. Then you might say, if you're going to people, let me explain something to you. If you're going to send me a message, don't tell me what I'm going to say. You can ask me all kinds of questions. Don't tell me what I'm going to say. Don't be that arrogant as to be able to act like you can speak for me. Right from the top, don't fucking do it. Because I'll tear into you, because you have no right to try and act like you can speak for me. I don't care who you are. Nobody knows me well enough to be able to speak for me. Not even my girlfriend can speak for me. Because there are things that she's had people ask me. Like when the landlord had asked about the aspect of, the only way she would speak for me is the aspect of, does he believe in God? No, he's an atheist. But as far as beyond that, it's one, you have to talk to him. Because don't speak for me. But that if there is a God, let him prove it to me. I don't want to make an irrational leap of faith. See, if they would know anything about me, they would know faith, not from me. I'm not just an atheist and an anti-theist. I'm an epistivist as well. I regard faith as meaningless. Actually, I regard faith as delusional disorder, but that's a bit beside the point. The thing is, that aspect brings in, if any part of your reasoning for believing something is the Bible says so, calling you an idiot isn't an accusation, it's an observation. This person is an idiot. But what I had initially said when I saw this, of God says, prove it. I don't believe you. I do not believe your claim that a God said that. Prove to me a God said it, and not that a man wrote it. I contend a man wrote it and put in, just like they did here, if you might say, that they put in, God says. I believe a man did that. Prove to me otherwise. Prove a God said it. Don't claim it because it's in a book. That doesn't prove it. You have to prove that God said it. If you can't prove that the God said it, don't try saying that the book proves that God said it. It doesn't. At most, it shows words that are written in that book. That's all that shows. But the aspect of a God wanting us to be rational, first of all, it's an appeal to heaven. It's logical fallacy. It is claiming to know the mind of God. And that is the first of many logical fallacies that you're going to see. He will not submit himself to human scrutiny. To do so he would need to stop being God. That's moronic, idiotic, retarded. You know why? Does a parent stop being a parent just because the child knows they exist? It is fucking retarded to try claiming a God will not submit himself to human scrutiny because he would need to stop being God. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That is an attempt to try and weasel around the fact that you can't prove this God exists. So you try making up stupid, retarded bullshit like this and blowing that smoke up my ass and thinking I'm going to be as dumb as you are and buy into it. I'm not. I'm going to see right through it. He will not bow to our perverse judgments. Prove my judgments are perverse. Upon what evidence can you say my judgments are perverse? I'm not the one that goes along with torture. I'm not the one that goes along with thought crime. You really want to play this game with me? And I put in, remember, no one who has prejudged an issue can be convinced of anything contrary to what he wants to believe. Their own words. Ask yourself, number 2, would I ever be willing to believe God is there, however strong the evidence? If evidence, and the key is right there, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, anybody, it's right there. That's the key. Evidence. If you want to say a God exists, you need to provide evidence, not claims. Evidence. You need to prove your claims and your God exist. Just mouthing words is not going to cut it. You need demonstrable proof. Evidence. Let me examine the evidence. Doesn't mean I'll go along with the God. Doesn't mean I'll go along with their program. But I may say, like I do with Kim Jong-un, okay, the asshole exists. Doesn't mean that I'm going to bow and scrape. You see the problem. You may not be in your head as much as in your heart. Perhaps you've already taken a leap of faith. No, I don't believe you. I don't believe the claims. It's not about faith. I have no faith, only facts. To assert a God cannot exist, despite the impossibility of proving that statement, is an irrational leap of faith, is an irrational leap. When have I said that? When has any atheist said that? The atheist position is, I don't believe you, or I don't believe your claims. It's not saying that God exists or doesn't exist. Atheism tends to exalt reason, but it's actually irrational. Based on what? Their presuppositional ideas? Atheists tend to put stock in empirical method and logic. What's wrong with that? Number 3, and the numbers I put in because ease of covering these. One cannot disprove God exists using the empirical method. That's called trying to prove a negative, and you don't have to do that. I no more have to disprove a God exists than I have to disprove Bigfoot to say I don't believe in Bigfoot. Or that I have to disprove the Loch Ness Monster to say I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster. Or that I have to disprove invisible flying ass monkeys. It doesn't matter what stupid bullshit you want to make up. I don't have to disprove your stupid bullshit to say, I don't believe you. Prove it. It's not about saying it doesn't exist. It's saying, I don't believe you. Or I don't believe your claims. But then, You might reply. Really? They're trying to have this conversation with me without me being involved. So it's one, why even post this shit to me? Because they're already speaking for me and thinking for me and everything for me. Why the fuck involve me? Just leave me the fuck out of it. But I can't disprove. And the thing is, it doesn't matter. This bullshit is irrelevant. Because it's going by their presuppositional, ignorant ideas. And this is where their statement had been at, and I was just one of. That shows me they were never an atheist, because they're misrepresenting atheism. Why do I say that? In order to prove the assertion no God exists, experimentally one would need to comprehensively know all of reality. No, absolutely not. That is a logical fallacy. I'm thinking it's a non sequitur, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And I will have in the description bar below a link to this master list of logical fallacies, and it goes through quite a bunch. There are, oh my word, 137 that it lists. So it's literally a master list. And it's something that I'm going to be probably referencing quite a bit in other videos where I deal with people like this. But the idea that to prove the assertion no God exists, that is not what atheism is. They're showing they do not understand atheism. And I've said it enough in this video, I'll say it one more time. Atheism is simply saying, I do not believe you, or I do not believe your claims. It is not making any claims as to does a God exist or not. Because in the aspect of do you know a God exists, atheists, I think all of us would say, no, we don't know. But in the aspect of do you believe? Nope, don't believe. Some go a bit further like me and be saying we're anti-theists, which that doesn't mean that I'm saying a God doesn't exist. It's saying even if one would, I would still oppose it. Just like I would oppose Kim Jong-un. Or I would oppose Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, or tons of other tyrants that have been throughout human history. The thing is, comprehensive knowledge of reality is called omniscience. One would need to be omniscient in order to prove there is no God. You don't need to prove a negative. But if one were omniscient, one would by definition already be God. That I think is actually impossible. The idea of something, to use the term, being all-knowing. I think it's a bullshit idea. It's a magical term. It's a bullshit term that people made up. I don't see any evidence of anything displaying that to make it have any meaning, or that it's even possible. So until evidence would be provided that such is possible, I don't believe it. So based on empirical methodology, the only one capable of disproving God, the existence of God, would be God himself. Again, it's not about disproving the God. That's trying to prove a negative. That's not possible. That the burden of proof is on the one making the claim, not the one saying, I don't believe you. But some would say you can need asserting something some would say indeed asserting something does not exist if it's the thing is we're not saying it does not exist. That is the stupid bullshit that they're trying to project because they're presupposing the God. The thing is, I'm just going to skip down because I'm not going to go through the endless bullshit of they're misrepresenting the position of atheism. One cannot prove logic exists unless one first presupposes a God with whom reason and meaning are transcendently rooted. Otherwise, these categories are mere psychological prejudices, self-refuting. Remember, no one who has prejudged an issue can be convinced of anything contrary to what he wants to believe. That bullshit, they refuted themselves. I don't need to do anything. Moving on. Atheism is inherently self-contradictory. No. Your post is self-contradictory. The evidence for the existence of God is there for all to see, only we refuse to see it. Circular reasoning. Because they try and use the Bible. And just because I can be a bit of a dick, I'll rub this in your face, Christians, and even Jews or Muslims. If any part of your reason for believing something is it's written in the Bible says so, you're an idiot. Okay? Now, for the sake of brevity, seriously? Brevity? They actually have in this down around this area, yeah, here, in this post, here is where they put, for the sake of brevity. Seriously. You're going to be brief here? You've already gone way fucking over brief. The aspect of, for the sake of brevity, it's like for the sake of absurdity, let's simply consider ethics. Beyond dispute, there are moral atheists. I've known atheists who are more ethical than some people claiming to believe in God. Okay? This is not the issue, seriously. It's not. The question is, why be ethical? In short, why not be an asshole? It's called empathy. It's called because I can empathize and I wouldn't want somebody else to do bad things and so forth to me, so I'm not going to do that to others. It's called basically being able to be a decent person without having to, the idea of having to have a cosmic overlord with his foot on my fucking throat. Number 5. Can an adequate basis for morality be found given atheist premises? Yes. Empathy. Do you want someone to come up and punch you in the face? No? Then don't you do it. You want somebody to come up and steal your shit? No? Then don't you do it. It's very simple. It's very logical. Do you want someone to come up and kill you? Then don't you do it. You want someone to rape you? No? Then don't you do it. Don't do what you would not want done to you. It's an idea that predates the Bible, goes back more to Confucius, but it does not have a goddamn thing to do with a God. It has to do with not being a fucking dick. Think about it. Unless God exists, there's no eternal transcendent standard for right or wrong. Bullshit. Primates have a sense of fairness. This was actually tested and proved with primates and fucking grapes. That there were two primates that they were fine giving the rock and doing the thing to get the grape until the one got the cucumber. Or they were good with getting a cucumber until one got a grape. And then the one that was getting the cucumber saw the other one got a grape, and it didn't like the cucumber anymore. It wanted fairness. It wanted the grape. To the point where it threw the cucumber at the person and was pounding its hand on the table. It wanted the grape. That's a monkey. Primates have a sense of fairness. You don't need a god. You don't need a cosmic overlord threatening to shove a pitchfork up your ass or do nasty things to you. Or if you do, you're a fucking dick in the first place. Regardless of whether a god exists or not, you're a fucking ass. You're an immoral cunt. Can't understand normal thinking. You have no moral basis. If your only reason for doing something good is you want to get some kind of cookie or pat on the head, or you're afraid of getting a kick in the ass. If the only reason you do good things is because you want a payoff, you're a self-centered, self-serving jackass. And this is the logical fallacy of moral superiority. And it's not even morally superior. It's what I would term morally inferior. And it's an ancient principle, immoral and extremely dangerous, as it is evil has no rights that the good righteous are bound to respect. That way lies torture, heretic burnings, and the Inquisitions. And that is exactly where the type of shit that this leads to. It is putting basically the idea that unless somebody bows to their ideas, that it is okay to do whatever you want to them. That is, and it rub their nose in that shit. But this tells me that if they're a Jew, they're a goddamn retarded Jew. Because Mark Powers refuted this with me. If a God did not give the Ten Commandments to Moses on Sinai, thereby establishing a moral standard above human creation, that's not what the Ten Commandments were about. It wasn't about over human creation. It was about over the Jews, the Israelites. It had nothing to do with non-Jews. Not a goddamn thing. I question even if they're Jewish. Because this, all of this, sounds Christian. Sounds way too Christian. Because this level is stupid. I have never encountered a Jew that would be this stupid. From my experience, Jews are very intelligent. And they don't come at people with presuppositional bullshit. Oh, there's a bit of cognitive dissonance that I went roundy round with Mark on in the first interview, but not near to the degree like this. The thing is, if humanity were left to its own ethical standards, why are we left with only 3 options based on ethics? We're not. This doesn't even remotely. This may be all they can think of in their pea brain. It's not even close. The aspect of human survival? No. That I am a humanist. But that doesn't mean that I am a self-centered jackass. The thing is, the big problem with religion and where all of this shit, like the collective tradition, they completely omit tribalism. The biggest thing that religion is guilty of: tribalism. The my group's better than your group. We see a type of tribalism with the aspect of Republican, Democrat, and that stupid shit. The thing is, people pick their tribes in that aspect like they pick their fucking football teams. And in that regard, in a lot of ways, I have the attitude, I heard it from Scary Dave and I liked it: fuck your team. I don't give a fuck about your team, about your banner, about your tribe, about your flag. I care about evidence. I care about what is good for everybody. I don't give a rat's ass about your God, about imaginary shit. I care about things that will help this world to be a better place, to help people live better lives and to get along with each other, to stop this endless fighting over stupid shit. The thing is, I honestly feel in order for us to reach a point of getting past that, we have to outgrow religion. The first thing that has to go is this stupid, moronic God notion. Because that is the heart, and I think the heart and soul of all for me and fuck you too. My group is right, your group is horrible. That is the basis of this stupid bullshit. If we're going to outgrow religion, or outgrow the violence and the killing each other off, we must first outgrow religion. We must reach a point socially of saying, you know what? We need to discard this crap because it can't be proven. And it's doing us, not only is it doing us no good, it's hurting us. It's ultimately going to kill us if we don't get rid of this fucking cancer that is among us, that is called religion. Some could even use the term Jesus. Is a cancer that is eating away at us, and it will destroy us if we do not cut that cancer out. It's not about does a God exist, because whether if one does, it doesn't want us to know about it, so why give a fuck? But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Later, people.